AVNation at ISE 2018 with AVIXA's Dave Labuskes. How are you, sir?
I am good. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. AVIXA is half owner of Integrated Systems Europe, so thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Happy to have you here.
Yeah, we're recording this on Wednesday morning of the show, so day 2 of the 4-day show. Yesterday, huge day from attendance standpoint. Huge day. It was the first opening day, and it felt very busy. I know yesterday leaving the Amsterdam Rye was a challenge for a lot of folks. It was for us. Matt, Scott, and I were trying to get to an event, and getting out of here in a vehicle was very interesting. A couple of folks were commenting that they had not seen traffic like this, right? So obviously a whole lot of people here yesterday. You guys have added a 15th hall. When we first started covering this show, you had 12. So in the subsequent years, you've added 3 more, and you're sold out, darn near, right? We probably can't say 100%, but you're sold out. Where do you go from here, from a attendance standpoint, and also from an exhibitor space standpoint?
Yeah, it's a great problem.
Yes, it is.
It's a fantastic problem. AVIXA and CEDIA put this show together along with NSCA back 15 years ago. So 15 halls, 15 years.
Yep. Okay.
And every show that AVIXA does around the world is about building the industry. You know, one of our missions as an association is to be a catalyst for market growth. Mm-hmm. And there's no more clear physical manifestation of that mission than a trade show. It's a great problem to have. We built 4,000 square meters of space this year, which is part of why you're having challenges with taxis and buses, because we took away the entire car parking lot out front of the building. If you look around the building, there's a few more parking lots, and so there's opportunities for some potential expansion in those areas. We're also looking at opportunities to expand just out into the city and trying to explore whether or not there are ways of taking segments of the exhibitors and offering them an opportunity to be more focused in a satellite location. That, of course, has its challenges. You know, our exhibitors don't want people leaving this floor. The challenges of moving people back and forth. But we certainly have anticipated this coming. It wasn't a surprise that we were crowded yesterday. Mike Blackman and his entire team have been working since the day that we closed last year to bring visitors in. We shifted our marketing. We won't know until we do some analysis afterwards, but from an attendee marketing perspective, our mission this year was not to grow the numbers, but more to grow the qualifications of those people that came. Okay. It's a calculated, or it's a complicated calculus in delivering a successful show of this scale. I'm not worried. We'll do what we need to do. I mean, there's lots of for-profit solutions you could make. You could jack up the prices of the show. That's not our intent in any way. A part of what we are doing, remember, is a key strategy of the industry association, which is creating a place to bring people together. So yes, obviously we want it to be a fairly priced product. We want to ensure that we're extracting the value that we're creating when we put the show together. But this show is a partnership between Amsterdam, the Rye, CEDIA, AVIXA, and 1,200 exhibitors and 80,000 or so visitors. Yeah. So we will have a great party next year. We will have a great show. I'm sure we will have great attendance. Part of the brand of this show, part of the enjoyment of this show is the crowds. It's like holiday shopping. It's not necessarily always as practical as it would be some other time, but it's part of the spirit of the industry.
What do you think has made this show as successful as it is? You mentioned 15 years ago. I want to say that the numbers were somewhere around 4,000 or 5,000 visitors 15 years ago, the first time you guys did ISE. What has taken it from 4,000 last year? You had 73,000 attendees, and obviously the exhibitors have increased substantially in the last 15 years. Why?
Well, the first easy answer is our industry has grown.
Okay.
The size of the industry and the pace that the audiovisual industry and the breadth of the industry, if you look 15 years ago to where we are today, I'm sure I wasn't involved in it 15 years ago, but I'm sure there were an awful lot of slide projectors and just equipment and technology that doesn't exist today that wasn't in that show. And some of the display technologies and control technologies that we have in this show weren't dreamed about 5 years ago, let alone 15.
Yeah.
So that's one. So, you know, if you're a vibrant, growing industry, then your trade shows are going to be vibrant and growing, or at least you have that in your favor. Then it's a matter of listening to our exhibitors, being responsive. We have 3 exhibitors that sit on the board of ISE, and we also have a advisory board that is exclusively exhibitors, and we listen and we ask. So the first show was in Geneva. From an outside perspective, outside of Europe, Geneva seemed like a great place to put it.
Yeah.
But Geneva was a horrible place to put it. No offense to Geneva,
Yeah.
but it required customs clearance for every exhibitor to get their equipment into Switzerland. It just was a very difficult show. Then we came to Amsterdam, and we were asked to move to Brussels because we were seen as a competitive show to another show at the RAI in Amsterdam. So then we moved to Brussels. The shows have a life that is dependent on 2 variables. You need to have qualified attendees at the show in order to justify the expense of the exhibitors. And the exhibitors need to be there in order to attract the qualified attendees. And so as long as you balance that growth over the life of a show, they're successful. Every show we did last year as AVIXA, so 10 or 11 shows around the world, had record attendance and record number of exhibitors and record space, with the exception of Brazil. So that's maybe the third variable we need to look at, is the macro economy of the market you're dealing with.
Okay.
And we've had a growing economy. We at ISE survived the 2008-2009 dip during the life of this show, and still were able to grow. But the growth in those years was minuscule.
Yeah.
It was very flat. But this show would have died 15 years ago without the support of some of our key exhibitors.
And feedback from them as well.
And feedback from them.
You mentioned the shows that you guys did last year. About 6 months ago, InfoComm, the organization, changed their name to AVIXA.
You noticed?
Yes.
Thanks.
Changed colors, all kinds of things. What are you guys doing at this show? Because this is the first ISE since that change. It's not your first show, but it's the first ISE since that change. What is AVIXA doing at this show that's different? Because that was kind of part of the name. It wasn't just a name change, right? It was a strategic move. What are you guys doing different this year than you did last year under the name of InfoComm?
Yeah, thanks for working that in there. It is more than a change. It's
Well,
more than a name change, right?
It has to be, right?
It is a change of our identity. And just like anybody or anything that changes their identity, that's a process. It's first thinking about, am I who I used to be? And if the answer to that is no, then it's who am I going to be? And then I guess if I start to wax too poetic, we'll be talking about the fact that we're all trying to become who we are, or who we want to be. Our presence here is in some ways exactly like it was when we were InfoComm. Okay. We are offering training, we are offering industry gatherings, we're offering networking, we're supporting fast-track training, conferences, and classroom training. And we have a stand that's present at the top of the escalator in the exact same place that the InfoComm stand has been for years. But that stand doesn't represent or look like the InfoComm stand in any way. So you're right, this is an opportunity for us to expose the European marketplace to the AVIXA Association in a way that truly demonstrates the value of the association. This is a market which was one of those that contributed to the real recognition that using the same brand for our shows and the association created confusion rather than benefit.
Yeah.
Almost anybody that came to the show, and we have 70 to 80,000 people that are going to walk through these doors, the percentage of those who are members of AVIXA is remarkably low, particularly compared to the North American show. Okay. We have opportunities to serve those people. We have education that's relevant to them all year long. We have community networking and peer-to-peer training and education and knowledge sharing that's available year-round. we are invested very heavily in establishing our presence here and showing that we are there to support the industry. It's a challenge that we created unintentionally.
Okay.
ISE was always envisioned to be a European show and hopefully grow to be the international show it is. We intentionally did not want it to be an InfoComm show. We wanted it to have its own brand. We didn't want it to be the North American show brought to Europe. We wanted it to be Europe's show, and it is.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
But in doing that, we created a challenge in that, Mike Blackman and the ISE team doesn't want to have the AVIXA or the CEDIA brand overtake the ISE brand. So it's a balance of brands and gets into a lot of marketing calculus that I'm really glad I have really talented people working with me that understand that.
All right. As we wrap up here, the next time that we will see you, I'll see you, is in Vegas this year for the InfoComm show. What are you guys already in the planning stages for that? I know you've already announced a couple of special education sessions. You're doing Tide again, which you did here in Amsterdam. What else are you excited about for Vegas?
In addition to looking at how does our brand represent who we are as part of our strategic plan and the entire decision to rebrand as AVIXA, we have 4 equally important other strategic initiatives, and one of those that's directly related to the InfoComm show is to develop new content and target content towards enterprise decision makers and towards our practitioners of our profession that helps to identify how AV creates outcomes and solves solutions. So that's that integrated experience. It's what do you, Mr. or Ms. Retailer, need to do to engage your customers in a retail experience. So we have a lot more content that's being presented at the InfoComm show that's directed towards that. That is the sweet spot, the bullseye of where Tide is about, the technology, innovation, design, and experience. We have some new partners that we're entering into the show that I'm not ready to announce, but watch for some pretty exciting press releases with regards to new layers of content that we're going to put into the show. We want that show. Remember what we talked about when we launched AVIXA is that there are practitioners out there that are doing AV that don't think of themselves as AV professionals. Yep. Well, we want some of them to come to Vegas this year, and we're doing the work that we need to do to make sure that we have relevant content to attract them to that conversation.
Very good. David Labuskes, if somebody wants to know about AVIXA or find you, how do they do that?
Well, www.avixa.org. You can also go to infocommshow.org. We'll have information about the 2018 Vegas show, and you can reach me at David Labuskes tweet, and email's what you would guess, dlabuskes@avixa.org.
All right, yeah, he actually does tweet, so. My name is Tim Albright. For more information about us, you can find us at AVNation.tv.